That's fixed. Whew. A little bit of a mess we made here. Clean all your hardware out. Disconnect your tie rods. We're gonna have to pull apart the steering rack and clean that out, inspect it, lubricate it, replace anything that's worn on that. I don't think these pins, there they go. Pull your hinge pins out. I'm actually shocked how small those hinge pins are and how much of a beating they've taken. I'm going to pre-soak my CV in a little bit of lubricant. The bearing around it. We know that's going to be fun pulling that apart. Nothing to this, pretty straightforward. A couple screws and that case comes right off, so clean those out and let's get cracking. I suspect this one is in not too bad a shape inside. This one didn't feel too bad, but you can see here it's leaked out all its diff fluid. And usually in turn when that happens, dirt will replace that in there. So. Place your bets now. What do you think it's going to be? A mess? Decent. Good. Still nice and greased up. Gears are clean. Bearing's shot. Outer bearing on the case is shot. Inner bearing is actually fine. You can see there's two bearings there. Inner, outer. Inner, outer. Outer is toast. Inner is completely fine. That gear's completely fine. Pinion gear. Ring gear's fine. Nice big beefy I believe that's the X-Max diff or something, I'm not sure. TRAXXAS is kind of new to me. Cool, I'm gonna get this my little tub here and get this guy cleaned up. Okay, we got that chunk nice and cleaned up anyhow. One bearing I got off. It comes over top of the dog bone couple, which is really nice because a lot of diffs before in the past, to change bearings, you have to open up the diff, pull everything apart, pull the little pin out, slide the pin out, then you can change it, put it back together. This one actually fits over top. You are going to have to watch out for wear from the pin. It's going to pile up the metal around the slots. You can see there, I just quickly took a file, knocked down the sharp edges. By any means does not make it that much easier to get the damn things off, but it sure helps. Now these bearings are fine. I'm just changing them for the simple fact is I bought a complete bearing kit, so I'm going to use it. When you're doing this, you want to work around from those 4 screw heads. You don't want to pry on this gear. It's a cast gear. Keep working from those 4 points all the way around. You hear a click. Move on. Click. Once I get it through the cup there, I start just tapping it, driving the force with the screwdriver handle down. Oh, there we go. Now we're going to need to open this guy up and just change out the diff fluid or grease. Not sure what's going to be in here. 4 screws on the back side of the ring gear. Seal's in good shape. It's good shape. We're just going to clean that out. Simple enough. All you got to do is put some penetrating oil in there. Fill it up. And just roll the gears. You'll feel it get easy as the penetrating oil breaks up the grease. You'll have to hold these gears down in place. There's nothing holding them in place, so they'll push up. And then you end up with a nice gooey soapy. So there is a front diff bearing mounted below this plate. We'll need to remove the screw from the back side to get to that bearing. Best way to do that is hold that slot with a screwdriver. Huge stub shaft. These things are built amazingly well. Keep the Loctite around. We have to Loctite that. And oh, actually no bearing. Huh. Nice big rubber seal. Let's give this all a clean out here. So it's running a hardened steel bushing instead, and a seal. Weird. Thought for sure that would be bearing. Let's reapply Loctite and put that back in. There's no need to take that out. If you're doing this yourself, just clean that off, leave it alone. At least we started on this side. It's far easier than going into that side and pulling all the gears. So, okay, so that's flushed and cleaned. We're going to grab some We're gonna play around with some probably million weight oil for that differential. Start around there, maybe some 50,000. I'm not sure. See what I'll think about it a little bit, and we'll update with that. I'm going to clean the rest of these parts. I need to pull the steering rack apart. It's 2 screws, really easy. You don't need to see that. Clean all that, check the spring, make sure everything's good to go, and we'll catch you back when we start putting it back together. So I opted to use well, the thickest I had, 10,000 weight off the silicone diff fluid. That's going to give it a little bit more tension in the front, and which was already pretty tight. I don't know what they use factory, but it's definitely not in there no more. It's that part where I'm talking about over tightening and getting it just right. You want to have all the screws just in, but nobody crazy tight. Beauty. Nice and heavy, feels good. Cut my fingers off and keep doing that. Careful, sharp. Okay, so boom, on to front diff assembly and bearing change. We'll get into that next. Okay, guys, welcome back. Bear with me. We're in part 7400 or something of this build. I'm not sure. It's actually been a week. Work, jobs, and stuff. They get in the way of our builds, unfortunately, so we can buy this junk to break it, you know. Anywho, we are, I think I just rebuilt this. Pretty sure I did. So we just need to finish up getting these bearings changed on the ring and pinion, or the pinion, and started reassembling that. Where did my little brush go? Should be checking these with a caliper, but I'm not too concerned about that. They Loctited this factory, but that's plastic, so ain't not gonna work. Loctite involves metal to make it function. Where are we throwing little bearings? Over there. Okay, done diddly and done. What do you think, McPherson?
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Rust on my plastic.
Rust on the plastic.
Close enough to fill out with grease and other good stuff, and rock and roll. This guy here has 4 bearings, 2 top, 2 bottom. You can use 2 little dudes, 2 other little dudes. I'm panting, Jesse. I ran up the stairs and I'm old. The bearing gone already? What the hell is I digging at? Random.
It flew away.
Definitely a no. Well, that's the one that came out. No? Yeah. Is it different? That's why. Why would it be different? It is not. I got a highly trained ichrometer. Well, they shorted us one bearing because that's all of them.
That's everything.
Okay, well now we know that. So cool. We'll just have to reuse these. Whatever. That sucks.
Yes, that doth blow.
Okay, so this guy here in racing, I don't think they use servo savers. No, racing and servo savers they do. That's right. I remember my truggies and buggies had them. You always want to take them apart, clean them all the time. You never want to make sure. You want to make sure there's no grease or oil that gets in them, because grease and oil will stick to them. This one is spring one on top. You can take it apart and clean it. No need though. You can just pop it open a little bit, make sure it's functioning nice for one when you clean it or open it, and go both ways. Make sure it's working, and just wipe out all the crud and stuff that's in between the jaws there. Keep going a few times back and forth. It will smear all the crap to the open areas, and you can just wipe it out. That's done. Make sure you didn't lose any of your bearings in there. Reinstall. With a used bearing. This is a steel standoff it rides on, I think. That's just plastic. My bad. One time I'll grab the right drill. Here. You don't need to go super tight. Just look for any up and down play. You don't want this to be, and all you should be able to shake that and actually move back and forth for you in your chassis. Next, you're going to want to make sure all these channels are cleared out in here. If any rust or debris or sand or bits, we just washed it so it's good. Pain in the butt. If you're going to tap this in, you have to make sure you are on the inner race only. Get out your magic hammer and tap it, don't beat it. This one's going to be a pain in the ass. I didn't file this cup enough. You can take the cup off as a screw on the inside, but I fear that I'm trying to line that up after ain't gonna be fun. You can take it all apart, put a bearing on, put it all back together, but I didn't go that route. You can fit them over, which is kind of nice, just for simplicity. They do slide over. Obviously the last one wasn't needed. Okay, so that's the way you can knock those over, do that. Pain in the butt, but can be done. Like I said, these cups are pretty beat up. Took a little bit of filing to get that off, but otherwise, this one actually none. This one took a bunch. Going back in, there is the block spacer to make sure you don't put the diff in the wrong direction. So that means you have to put the differential in this direction. Make sure the bearings are nice and seated in there. Pinion gear drops in there. There's a front bearing, inner bearing, outer bearing, spacer in the middle. Push this bearing to the back, put that guy to the front, push them in, work your bearings until everybody goes happy. Happy, happy, happy. Preba marine grease. Use whatever you got. I don't like white lithium grease. I don't like lithium grease in general. I like just good old marine grease, waterproof. Yes, greases are not waterproof, so if you have a waterproof grease, it won't turn to sour cream when it gets wet. If it gets wet, turns sour cream, does nothing no more for lubrication. And remember, just enough. Don't tighten that all the way up. Don't over tighten that one. Get it in all the way flush down like that. It's fine. This needs to actually have a little bit of play in it. It makes sense. It is a driveline part. Driveline parts cannot be tight. Shit needs to flex. I mean, things flex. A little more just for fun. Okay, now if any of you guys remember how to put this back together, please leave in the comments and we'll pick it up on the next video. Ciao. Half bed screws go down all 4 corners of the diff. Remember, just like I always say, get them in first before you tighten them down. You'll thank me one day. Okay, we're going to jump into pulling the shocks apart and the front knuckles. And your last 2 bolts here that hold down the pinion, a lot of torque, a lot of force on there, so they went to a 4x14mm screw in there. Same thing, don't over tighten. Butter. So there's a screw on the top behind the rotor. This is your 3x8mm screw. You'd think it'd be a longer screw for the distance it travels, but it ain't. So. It's TRAXXAS. Don't be scared to be rough and tough on it. You ain't gonna break it. We can't. So. We'll be selling these ProNoob hammer brushes pretty soon on the website. $17.99 US. Wonder Brush. Not to be confused with Wonder Bra Incorporated. No, we will not be selling man bras. We run free over here. Free range man titty.
Get your hammer brush.
Boom, boom. Boom, boom. I need to clean that first. It's disgusting. Get the next one bombed apart. Screw is right there. That holds on the brake. Take out the screw. 3x8mm screw, little guy. Pull its pin. Okay, brush. Back that out. There's a bird nest. Now, don't mix these up. We're not sure if they're the same length. We can check. They're saying like, yeah, you can mix them up, that's cool. We approve that. We also play with side-by-sides and four-wheelers, and you can't mix those parts up. They're not the same.
No, sir.
Left is left, right is right, rear is rear. We're gonna pull the shocks on this, I believe. You need a different drill. I believe it's this screw here, 3x2mm, and then you drive the pin out from the back side with your brush. There's your shocks. Make sure you make a note the orientation of where the shock was versus the one with the spring. We can open this up in here, take this apart, clean out any dirt and mud and debris in there, but I'm not really concerned about that. I'm going to go throw this into the bin and give that a soak too. So, orientation is on the left side of the truck, your coils in the rear, your shocks in the front. So just remember that. It might not matter, but TRAXXAS might sue you if you put it the wrong way. So. Jesse?
Yes, they will.
Tell them about that. See your pants off, man. We've half-assed cleaned these up with some WD-40 and retired toothbrush. What was the other? Boom, boom. There we go. We're gonna just set the hinge pin back in. Set that guy aside. Last piece is this guy. CVDs are soaking in some of the cleaner right now.